Before we get into this video, huge shout out to Carson City Motorsports for giving us the Gas EC 250. Without them, we wouldn't have had a 250 displacement in the shootout. Gas didn't have any. We normally get these bikes from the OEM. Carson City had one. They sent it out from their showroom floor. That's super cool. So looking at these bikes, basically what we're going to do is go through all the displacements and just talk about pros, cons, what we liked, what we didn't like, where we think they're going to work the best. So we're going to start right at the bottom, and that's the YZ125X. So, Seeps, what do you think about that bike?
Overall, I actually really liked it. When we did the day one, it was very tight at the beginning, a lot of hills in the end. The YZ, it was really easy to keep in the power because there's really nothing down low and everything up top, but it wasn't like a ton up top. So you can really just like play around right there, light, nimble. But like through all the downhill stuff, going from the rocks, the little waterfalls, the bike's so light that it kind of just flicks around a lot easier than some of the bigger ones. On day two, it was super fun. Day two surprised me how much I actually liked the bike compared to, I thought it would be a hindrance being that it was the slowest one, but you had all those trees that you're, ducking in and out of. The little whoop section, I felt that was probably the hard spot, again, the uphill, but it surprised me how much I liked that for it being the slowest.
So for me, the YZ125 kind of did what I thought it was going to do. Day one was a little tighter and more technical, really technical climb. Day two, a little faster up in the high desert, sand rolly whoops, kind of higher speed sweeping stuff. And day one, it's just, you couldn't roll the throttle on through really tight stuff and have it work like the 200 and 250 and 300 did, or like a four-stroke would, where you can just use the throttle to go. You kind of had to work the shifter and be in that meat of the power to make it go. So easy to ride in that it's very light, and it was very fun to dive in and out of that tight stuff, but tougher in that technically you had to work harder to keep it in where it was making power. Day two, for me, it's where it shined. When you could carry a little bit more speed, I was having a ball on that thing. The bigger the whoops, the better, no problem. The thing gobbled them up, and it's so light, I just never felt like I was out of control on it. I really did have fun on it. I think for a smaller person, maybe female riders, even a guy who's, if you're under maybe 175, it would be something good to consider because it'll pull you around, no problem. We did some laps on a little motocross track we found out there, and I would say it probably worked better than any of the other bikes in a motocross capacity. So if you're somebody who rides a little bit of track as well, it's a really good option there too.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the only two bikes in this comparison that is, it's the cross-country model, so it's not like full light enduro. The other thing is that it is the only one that you have to kickstart, so that's something to think about with the 125. It is obviously going to be the easiest to kickstart. It starts no problem, but if you're going to race, that is something to think about because it's kind of like you stall or whatever, and other people could just stab the button and start and ride away. I really liked the way it felt in the tight stuff, as far as just, how light the bike is. It's like a mountain bike, you can flick it around. I never felt like it was like, I could like charge downhill and feel in complete control, exactly where I'm gonna put it. But getting back up those hills was, like he said, it takes a lot more work to find that power. It makes you have to work harder, and if you're a better rider, then you can make it work. But it's kind of like, how much work do you want to put in for that?
First thing that stands out to me is we're riding a bunch of two-strokes. They're all light, but still inertia. You get on this little bike and it's so nimble. It's so easy to change direction on. You just feel like you can overpower it in any situation. You never really feel like the bike's dragging you a direction or somewhere you don't want to go. As you said, it is one of the only two cross-country bikes in this, so it's very close to the moto bike. It is a little bit different pipe, a little bit different cylinder. It's meant to be a little bit broader and smoother than the motocross model, but it has a narrow power band. It's fun. You can ride it aggressively. I can see kids, of course, being that it's so moto-esque, like doing hair scrambles, your GNCC classes that you can race a 125. This model is better than like a 125 or a 150 that is a enduro or a true trail bike. Those bikes are chuggier. This has a lot more of aggressive character. It would be more fun to ride and race as a young kid doing off-road. As to what Ping said, I think like like a female rider would be really excellent on this. It is a little bit smoother character again than the motocross bike, and that even kind of gives me a little bit of crossover with it. You could do a little bit of everything with this thing if that's the type if you're a young kid or a girl. But no, like I said, I think it's you kind of put it in a similar category to when you think of a 125 motocross bike of the type of person this would suit.
Yeah, when I got on it, I was really stoked. I'm a 125 guy, grew up riding one a lot, and had a lot of success on the 125. So I was stoked to get on it. It was my first bike that I rode, and with it being the cross country bike, I was kind of excited to see how it would handle the day, with it being some sections more wide open. There was some deep sand in a couple of the washes with the rocks and things like that. But one thing that stood out to me was, yes, you had to rev the motorcycle, and at times I found myself in first gear, like wide open. And I was like, I'm going to hit a rock, and it's just going to lose all of its drive. It didn't. Like, I felt like, personally, if you are wide open going up the hill and you have the commitment and you stay in it, it'll chug up the hill. It will. Well, not chug. It will scream up the hill. So, and that's what I liked about it as well. Like, in the fast wash sections, I was able to go wide open, but the speed was not anything where I was like, oh, okay, I don't like that, to where other bikes were. So, for me, it was a lot of fun to ride, both in the tight sections and in the fast stuff. But it handled really, really well. I thought, overall, across the rocks, it was nice and plush. It had a little bit more bottom because I had a Moto YZ125, and it just had a little bit more oomph off the bottom. Like, I felt like I just had to give it just a little bit of feather on the clutch, and would just get it right up to the pipe, and I was just right back where in the happy power band where I needed to be. So for that, I really enjoyed it.
One other thing I would note about, I wonder how you guys all felt about this, is I felt like any bike in the test other than this, if you screwed up, particularly in rocks, whether you're on the hill climb and you got hung up and the rear tire's on a rock, or you're in the rock wash, anything else you can kind of creep and get going. I felt like the YZ125, it's so hard to creep over a rock from a dead stop without just lighting the tire on the bike and then instantly sliding
You
down.
definitely had to ride it like a 125. I guess it's not really profound, but even off-road, you can't just leave the clutch alone and throttle control it. On this thing, you have to ride it like a 125. Throttle twisted and do everything with a clutch. And to your point, I had to do that. You couldn't just go and ease into going back over rock. It had to be wah, and then use the clutch like slowly. You know what I mean? So if you rode it like a 125, it was great.
All right, that's our two-stroke off-road comparison. If you're on YouTube, click like and subscribe. If you're on vitalmx.com, check out our YouTube channel, and leave a comment down below what is your favorite two-stroke and what maybe off-road displacement you want to see next us compare, and do a little shootout with those. So thanks for watching. Catch you next time.